Thank you so much for coming. I could never draw a crowd, but my wife evidently is able to do that. Where were y'all when I was planning a church, huh? A eulogy is somehow supposed to capture the essence of someone's life, and in them we mostly talk about what they've done. They did such and such or went with so and so, and I'm hoping this one captures a bit more. I'm hoping that in it you'll see her great character, her capacity to love, as well as some of her humanity. It's about a 5-minute eulogy. My brother says it's going to take me about 30 minutes to get through this. Yeah, you're just going to have to bear with me. Dollie was born in Seattle, Washington on February 28, 1956. She was adopted shortly thereafter by Robert and Mary Dunlap of Vashon, Washington. She grew up on Vashon, participating in Girl Scouts and 4-H, showing horses, and getting in trouble with Willie, her next-door neighbor. And they got in a lot of trouble. They talked with Willie about that. She graduated from Vashon High School in 1974 and moved, as they say on Vashon, to the mainland. She attended Green River Community College, getting her AA and recreation services, which meant she mostly partied. While there, she played second base for the girls' softball team. Dollie had a great arm. I don't know how many of you have ever played softball with her, but she could throw. And pardon my political incorrectness, not like a girl. She could throw the ball. In fact, she loved to play catch with me, and she loved to make it hurt. And I had a more accurate arm, and so playing catch with her was a little dangerous. Yeah, she was a spray hitter. She hit line drives wherever she wanted to. She'd find a hole, and that's where she'd put the ball. In 1976, she married her softball coach, Thomas Martin. That was one of my children, I'm sure. They were separated in 1982 when he left her for his secretary. I don't suppose he's here, I'm sorry. The divorce became final in July of 1983. The tragedy of her failed marriage prompted a return to church and a phone call to her cousin Marty Hawkins. Dollie just had one question for Marty. Do they carry Bibles to your church? She asked. And Marty said, yeah, they don't only take them to church, they actually use them. So in December of 1982, she attended Village Chapel Evangelical Free Church for the very first time. And at the end of her first service, she was introduced to their brand new youth pastor. He was handsome, talented, had a great body, winning personality. You get the picture. At a local youth rally, her life would be forever changed. Dollie was a hard-partying, angry young woman who cussed like a sailor and smoked like a chimney. She drove a black 4x4 GMC Jimmy with a big decal across the front window that screamed bitch to the whole world. A lot of you do not know that Dollie. She carried a chain under the seat of her truck in case she ever ran into her ex-husband. But that night, she came face to face with the forgiveness and mercy of Jesus. And she never looked back. Let's get back to that exceptional youth pastor. Shortly after her divorce was final, in fact, the first time I took her out, I didn't know that her divorce wasn't final. I was actually dating a married woman. And we sat down and we were talking about the possibility of, we'd been friends. She was helping me out with youth group stuff and things. And I said, I think I'm at the point where maybe, we should go out sometime. And she goes, well, it's probably something you should know. I said, what's that? She goes, my divorce isn't final. I'm going, okay. And we did not speak for a while until she could let me know that that was all taken care of. The courtship and the ensuing proposal is the stuff of legends of which we have no time for here. Prod her husband sometime and he will happily tell you the story, whether you've heard it before or not, of how they finally ended up getting married. It was a long, rigorous process. He asked 2 questions of her. Will you marry me? And would you plant a church with me? And she said yes to both. On September 21st, 1985, Dollie Martin married Patrick Foutz, and what was a rocky courtship turned into an easy and awesome marriage. On September 21st, 1987, keep track of that date, Dollie had her first child. Make sure the year as well, okay? 85, 87, okay. Dollie had her first child and began the discovery of possibly her greatest talent, being a mom. Chelsea Lenore Foutz opened a spigot of love that was unquenchable. And then God gave her a boy, and the flow increased exponentially. Nicholas Andrew Foutz showed up on February 2nd, 1990, and her quiver was full. She was the consummate mother. There were outings and readings of the Bible stories. She worked the PTA. She ran the reading program. She taught Sunday school. She went to every sporting event, every activity, every concert they ever participated in. She was, however, a frightening soccer mom. Referees shunned her, other moms marveled at her, and her husband often sat on the opposite sideline to not be associated with her. She called down threats on other children, referees, linesmen for messing with her boy. But when it came time to let go of her children, she was gracious and encouraging to them both. Dollie also was a career woman. She had a career that spanned 34 years, beginning with Seafirst Bank and then continuing with Bank of America after the merger. She was the go-to gal. If you had a banking issue, or if you were new at the bank and needed to know where to go or who to talk to, she had done everything multiple times, and if you got her to be helped, you were in good hands. She developed many wonderful relationships throughout her time with the bank, and many of you are here tonight. Thank you for coming. Dollie was also instrumental in the planning and implementation of the church plant, which became Westside Christian Fellowship. She made things happen and never let me lose faith in what God had called us to do. And when it came time for us to merge with Fellowship Bible, she became the oil that made it work. She epitomized the graciousness that is now Redemption Fellowship. On December 7th, 2000, we received another of those life-changing announcements, though this time it was not a happy one. We went to the doctor that day thinking she had a pinched nerve and left with the diagnosis of multiple sclerosis. Over the years, the disease progressed and took little bits of her mobility and energy. In 2008, it resulted in the loss of her left kidney. And after several surgeries, however, she began to regain her strength and believed, along with me, that the best was yet to come. And here's that date again, on September 21st, 2010. We received the call that Dollie had contracted pancreatic cancer. We began to get our house in order, thinking that possibly this was going to be it. But After a major surgery and 6 months of chemotherapy, we began to hope that she may be one of the few that survives the most lethal cancer in the catalog. We got a good report at the 18-month mark, and then a clean bill of health at the 5-year mark. It was a miracle. And we rejoiced that God had given us our lives back. And we were thankful for your prayers. Despite the MS, the kidney, and the cancer, she never wavered in her faith in God, nor her desire to find some way to serve him, even with her diminished capacity. She volunteered at the Highline Hospital Cancer Center, pushing her walker around and encouraging the patients. She often prayed through the list of those being treated that day. After the church merger, she tutored children in the after-school program. Dollie's tenacity and servant's heart inspired people, probably you. Last week, on Wednesday, she complained of a sore throat and a cough. By Thursday, she was running a fever, nausea, vomiting. On Friday, she felt a little better, but late that evening, she was having difficulty with her sentences, which was not uncommon with the MS and a fever. When I received a text from her that was unintelligible, I determined to take her to the hospital because I'd heard that this flu bug was really laying people out. But after hours of tests, we finally discovered that she had multiple kidney stones blocking her kidney function. Because of the MS, just like in 2008, she did not feel the pain that most do with a kidney stone. And we were too late to treat the infection. And on January 14th, 2018, we all lost someone very dear to us. Dollie is survived by her mother, Mary Dunlap. She is survived by her daughter, Chelsea Hinderly, Paul, her husband, their boys, Miles and Carson, their daughter, Tajnique, her son, Nicholas, her cousins, Marty and Mike Hawkins, who were truly brothers to her, and to me, her husband. Dollie loved deeply. If she could speak from heaven today, she would tell you how much all of her friends and co-workers, her dear church family, her extended family, her kids, me. I believe that if she could speak from heaven, she would have some words of challenge and encouragement for us. Chelsea? She would thank you for being such a precious daughter. For all the phone calls and texts, the shopping trips, the decorating tips. She would thank you for being an understanding friend and loving daughter, as well as a great mom to her grandkids. She would challenge you to continue to grow in grace, especially to those who annoy you. You don't still have that hate list from junior high, do you? She would challenge you to pray as often as you can with those kids and with your husband, to make it a daily practice, and above all, to never stop serving Jesus. Nick, she would thank you for being an incomparably loving son, for all the kitten and animal videos you shared with her, for literally carrying her when she could not walk, for cheering her up when no one else could. She would say that her greatest regret is that she can't be there for you like you have been for her. She would challenge you to continue to grow in discipline and to not be afraid of facing your weaknesses and conquer them. She would say, son, I've only ever had one great hope for you, that you would serve Jesus with your whole life. And to everyone else, she would say, I've seen Jesus. I've seen Jesus. And he's worth it. He's worth enduring the pain of this world. He's worth every struggle. He's worth every discipline endeavored to draw nearer to him. He's worth every sacrifice, every denial of self, every yes to ministry with others. He's worth every extra minute in prayer. He's worth every moment given to Bible study, every effort given in genuine worship. He is worth overcoming any and every addiction or besetting sin, every bent toward bitterness and hatred. He's worth overcoming our addiction to comfort and security and fame and money. She'd say, I've seen Jesus, and he's worth it. Now go, serve him.